Hello students, welcome to Miss Chang's job mind map notes revision session. So we're just gonna do a quick one on water shortage. Okay, so water shortage. This will be our last note series, and I guess after this you'll be ready for your end of year. Some of you say, oh, you must make the video, Miss Chang. I don't know how to study on my own. Just a reminder, you're in Sec 1. And I know this year has been tough because we were doing HBL a lot. But I guess it's time for us to really just study, make the last push, and hopefully with whatever that we put in, whatever hard work we put in now, we can see the results during the end of year. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to start with the water cycle. Your favorite song. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the world. Okay, so what I like to do when I talk about water cycle, right, is let me zoom in to this area. So everything starts with 3 elements. Okay, the first one is the sun. The second one is the grass and the tree. Okay, the third one is obviously a water body. So these are the 3 things we want to have before the water cycle can start. Okay, so now the heat from the sun will cause water from the water bodies to rise up and change into water vapor, and this process is called evaporation. Okay, so number 1 is when water from water bodies change to water vapor. And that is evaporation. The second one, besides the water that will be giving changing to water vapor, sometimes the plants, right, they will also sweat. Okay, let's just say they also give out water. Okay, and they give out water through this process called transpiration. Okay, which is why there's this term called evapotranspiration. Okay, transpiration. So this is where plants give out water vapor. Okay, now when this water vapor rise in the air, what happens? When it continue to rise, the temperatures as you go higher actually becomes colder and colder. So as it rise, right, it cools and become water droplets. Okay, and these water droplets gather together to form clouds. And that is when you have 3. Condensation. So water vapor rises, cools to become water droplets, and gather together to form clouds. Okay, so that is condensation. Now the next process is when the water droplets gather, right, and they become too heavy, it will start to fall back onto earth as rain, snow, sleet, and hail. Okay, maybe I will get another color for this so that it's clearer. So what happens is when it gets too heavy, it will start to pew 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 pew. Hold up, wait a minute, it's precipitation. Okay, so for this process, when water droplets are too heavy, they fall, oh you can't see anymore, onto earth as rain, snow, sleet, and hail. Yup, this is also in the water cycle. So now, after which some of this water will be absorbed in to the soil or into the vegetation, okay, through a process called infiltration. Okay, so number 5 is when water that falls onto ground seeps / infiltrate into the soil. Now, so when it infiltrates into the soil, it will hit this region, that is below, way below, deep in the rock area. Okay, and this area is known as groundwater. Okay, so it's under all the rocks. So number 6 is groundwater. Okay, how do I explain this? Okay, water infiltrates deep into rocks and get contained in the soil and underlying rocks as groundwater. Okay, now some water that cannot be infiltrated, because sometimes the water is too much, they will also, I'll use red color for this, they will actually stay on land as surface runoff. Okay, so number 7, water that is not absorbed into groundwater flows over Earth's surface. Ta-da! And there you have it, our water cycle. And we are done with the first part of water shortage, understanding how the water cycle works. Okay, now we're gonna move on to another part, which is the users of water. Okay, so there are actually two main users of water. One is domestic, and then the second is economic. Okay, so the domestic use, we are talking about household. So water can be used for cooking, cleaning, or drinking. It's as simple as that. Cooking, cleaning, or drinking. Okay, so there are also different components of these. So cooking and drinking, right? Yeah, maybe I'll group it properly for you. So there's this thing called consumption, just normal, for you to drink or to cook. And then there is hygiene, which is for you to bathe, flush the toilets, or flush toilets. Then the third one is for amenity. Okay, where you can wash your car or you water your plants. Yeah, that's all. Okay, next, for economic use, there are two types of it. Okay, so one, we do it for agriculture, which is the growing of usually plants, and then we also use it in industries. Okay, so as we have said, agriculture is for growing of crops for food. Okay, and then we also want to know that industries, we usually use it to generate electricity, or we use it to manufacture products. Okay, so why for generating electricity, right, we use it to sometimes maintenance and cooling of generators. While for manufacturing products, we use it to get rid of friction and heat from chemical reactions. So we cool them down. Yeah, so that is all for our users of water. We have domestic and economic. Okay, now we are gonna move on to the next big part of this topic, which is the causes of water shortage. Okay, so there are 4 causes. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, we are now going to look at causes. So when we look at causes, there is usually, why do we have a shortage is because sometimes we want more than what we have. So when we want more than what we have, those are under demand factors. Okay, so demand is what we want. Okay, likewise, there can also be a cost that is due to the supply. So supply means what we have. So if what we want is more than what we have, there will be a shortage. So what can cause people to want more water? The first reason is actually due to population growth, okay, or population increase. Okay. So when population increase, what does it mean? It means that there will be a increase in demand for food. Right? So when there is an increase in demand for food, this will lead to an increase in water consumption for agriculture. And remember, we know that agriculture is a huge economic use of water, and hence there will be demand will be higher than supply. Okay, so we also know that things like beef is extremely water intensive. Manufacturing beef, is it manufacturing beef? Yes. Actually, I cannot use the word manufacturing. Yep. Which is why I'm vegetarian. No lah, it's not because I don't want to kill, not because it's water intensive. Okay, so demand is higher than supply, and this will lead to water shortage. Okay, the next reason there's a increase in demand for water is due to this thing called affluence. Okay, so affluence means that you are actually wealthy and live comfortably. Okay, so we are looking at developed countries like USA, Japan, and Australia. So these countries can consume more goods produced using more water, or it is as good as saying that their lifestyle consumes more water. Okay, and hence there will be a case where the demand is higher than supply, therefore leading to water shortage. Okay, then the next one that we are going to look at is the supply factors. So what can cause our supply of water to be very low? The first one is actually a very natural process called seasonal rainfall. Because we know that every country falls in a different climatic belt, and hence their climate differs. Okay, so when you have seasonal rainfall, what it means is that rainfall can be irregular and vary in quantities. So some months you have rain, some months you don't, or some months you have a lot of rain, some months you have no rain at all. Okay, so we are looking at climatic conditions can cause countries to have irregular rainfall. Okay, example, our monsoon climate, where there is the wet and dry seasons. Okay, so with all this, it means that still have. Sometimes there might be floods and droughts too. And this will affect the supply of water. Okay, and we know that the demand from population increase will never decrease. The fact is that our population is ever increasing, but our rainfall supply is irregular. Okay, it can control population increase if we want to, but we cannot control seasonal rainfall because that's totally not something that humans can do at this point. Okay, now the last one, however, is not natural and it's human made, and this is under the point called water pollution. Okay, this is definitely caused by humans. So there are three situations where there can be water pollution. One is through agriculture, the other is through industries, and the last one is through human. Okay, so during agriculture, we are looking at pesticides, fertilizers. Industry, we are looking at chemicals or wastewater. Likewise, for human, we are also looking at wastewater, oil and grease. Okay, so what happens is when all these things go into the water quality drops and it's unsuitable for people and aquatic life. And therefore there is a reduce in supply of water. So all these will cause water shortage. And with that, we are done with part 1 of water shortage. I'm so happy. Okay, so I will see you in the next one soon.